Alright, thank you very much for clicking on the video. This is Gulpain, just back with a quick review of this Jeanne d'Arc for the PSP, which was developed by Level 5 and published by Sony and released in 2006 and 2007 for the old PSP. And this is a strategy RPG, much like other sort of strategy RPGs, but this one kind of separates itself because it has elements from, well, it's based on the story of Joan of Arc, but I don't think Joan of Arc encountered the amount of demons that just this Joan of Arc encounters. But it's set in sort of like a fictional fantasy world, and the kind of the elements of Joan of Arc are taken from the real story, but it's not really a retelling of the story of Joan of Arc at all. But it is a good game all the same. There is a lot of the kind of the traditional tropes in the PSP games. The PSP seems to, specifically Japanese games, they seem to rely heavily on like the anime cutscenes, which is great. I love those, and they're very well animated and they look good as well. And this one is no different. But the main crux of the game has you taking control of the title character, and then there's basically other characters that kind of join you as well. And it's the traditional kind of strategy RPG, but it's done very well. The first strategy RPG I played was like Shining Force and Shining Force 2, so those were pretty good. But then once sort of Vandal Hearts came along, or Final Fantasy Tactics, those sort of games, they sort of changed the kind of the strategy, you know, the kind of the console strategy RPG, I think. And this one kind of follows on. It doesn't really do anything remarkably different than other strategy RPGs I've played, but it does do stuff really well. This more looks like, rather than looking like a PSP game, it looks more like a DS game, to be honest, because a lot of the characters, they're sort of that kind of, not deformed, but they're sort of like squished or smaller than in other PSP games. A lot of the PSP games, the characters are like, you know, they're realistic sizes and dimensions, whereas in this game and in other few games, the characters are a little bit smaller. But I do like the way they have the sort of the character portraits talking for the characters. They don't do that a lot in the modern RPGs at all. That was really nice. That's a sort of a thing that's kind of, it's lost. I imagine there are RPGs that do it today, but not the recent ones I've played anyway. But yeah, so nice sort of like style of graphic in this. It's different. It's more cartoony, or sort of like, it's just more sort of deformed, or not super deformed, but it's more sort of like the proportions of the characters are realistic. They all basically look like children, but they're supposed to be adults, like, you know, children with beards. But yeah, so it's the traditional thing. There is slightly different kind of elements to this game that you won't see in other strategy RPGs, but there is the whole, like, you know, attack the character from the front, attack the enemy character from the side is better. If you have higher ground, that's better as well for like specific things. There is magic and stuff in it as well, and healing items, and sort of different things to find. And yeah, it's just a kind of a strategy RPG, but done really well. So the graphic style is very good, and the kind of the anime aesthetic is very good as well. And I am kind of glad that it wasn't just a story of Joan of Arc, because it was horrible what happened to Joan of Arc. Nice period in history to study and all that, but very kind of brutal, particularly if you read about what happened to her. But taking the inspiration from a strong female character in history, I think, is an excellent thing to do for a video game, or a story as well. So that's Joan of Arc for the PSP. So just a brief look at it there. So if you've played Jeanne d'Arc, sorry, did my best French accent, Jeanne d'Arc for the PSP, let me know in the comment section below. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next video. Adios.